Welcome to the Tailgate. That is Ralph Vacchiano. I am Michelle Margaux, and let's get right into takeaways. And there was very little good news on the New York football scene this weekend, starting with Saquon Barkley, who tore his ACL. Ralph, what are the ramifications of this loss?
Well, they're huge. He was everything to the Giants. I mean, he was the guy they were building around, their one big marketable star, the one guy that scares opposing defenses, and they just don't have a replacement. And they talk bravely about, next man up and all that. But, I mean, how could you not be down when you see a guy like that get carted off the field?
Oh, well, we heard Ian Rappaport on the Tailgate last week talk about how big of a contract that Saquon was in line to get, and how has that been affected now?
No, it's interesting. I just started working on a story on this, and I kind of have mixed reactions from around the league. There's a feeling that if he comes back even just a little bit healthy and looks kind of like the same player, that it might be worth it for the Giants to kind of make a bet on him and pay him anyway, because you can structure contracts in all sorts of ways, and he's just worth it to them.
Yeah, you hate to see it. Huge blow for the Giants. Let's take a deep dive into the comments section and hear what's on your mind.
Hey, Tailgate. Well, it's been lovely being a Jets fan all my life. I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, last week, really? The game was over before it started. You think we'll ever win a game? What do I do? I mean, do I keep rooting for the Jets?
Well, it's always good to have Jets fans react reasonably and rationally and calmly and try to look on the bright side of life, which I guess there really hasn't been much of for the last decade or so. But, I mean, if I have to find a positive for the Jets, I probably can't. It's been really bad. It's just nothing's working. The defense was good the first week, but they were terrible the second week. I didn't see anything good come out of last week's game.
Let's high step into the friend zone and welcome in former Giants defensive end and two-time Super Bowl champ Mathias Kiwanuka. Giants lost a huge piece this week with Saquon Barkley. How does a team overcome the loss of a player of that magnitude?
That's difficult. I'm concerned about the leadership in the locker room as just as much as his play on the field. You have to rally around him. You have to pick his spirits up to make sure that he still is a part of the team and remember that everybody can rely on for motivation.
What does it take for a young quarterback to win over a team and become the kind of leader that you need him to be?
It really comes down to how you perform on the field. What can you do under pressure? If I'm counting on you, if I'm relying on you to be in your position to get that ball in the right spot, are you going to do it? And I think that has yet to be seen because you have to do it over a number of games. You need a big enough sample size for everybody to say, okay, yeah, I can follow this guy. I can be led by this individual. He means what he says and he does what he says he's going to do.
You obviously watched Eli grow into that kind of quarterback. And when you look back on his career, I'll ask you the question we're going to be asking for another 5 years after this. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that he is and he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. He was a leader. He didn't always come across on TV as the guy who was the most vocal or the guy who appeared to be the most confident, but we all knew he had that swag. He had the ability, he had the confidence, and nothing was going to rattle him. And that's a big part of being a football player in general. 2 Super Bowl rings against, great teams. It says a lot about who he is as a person. And in my mind, he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
More with Mathias in just a little bit. Let's head to Fantasy Island now. And Ralph, with Saquon out for the rest of the season, how much stock should I put into the Giants running back situation?
All right, I'm just going to keep saying this as long as we keep doing this segment. I'm 0-2 and well on my way to my 30th straight losing season in fantasy football, so take my advice with a grain of salt, but I think I know a little bit about the Giants running backs, and it's not good. You're looking for a guy to step in and be Barkley? Forget it.
What about Devonta Freeman?
Well, eventually he might be the best bet. He is a former 1,000-yard back, but, they're coming in week 3. He doesn't know the offense. It's going to take a little time, but he's probably the one to watch. He's the one I have the most faith in going forward.
Well, sticking with the Giants, is Daniel Jones worth holding on to, or should he be dropped for someone like Gardner Minshew or Joe Burrow?
If Gardner Minshew is available, I would grab him right now. He seems like he's got some weapons down there, and they're going to be behind a lot, so they'll have to throw plenty, which will help you. The Giants will be behind a lot, but with that offensive line, with no running back, I think Daniel Jones could be in a lot of trouble. At least from a numbers perspective, I like Daniel a lot, but things are just not on his side right now.
Well, with Jets fans already focused on next year's draft, let's not forget that this year's #1 pick for the Jets, Mekhi Becton, is already proving his worth. But don't take my word for it. Let's take it from a pro.
Anybody that knows me knows that I beat the drum for Mekhi Becton to come in and be the Jets' #1 overall pick. Not to toot my own horn, but toot, I was right on par. One thing you can't teach: size, speed, and athleticism. And I know what you're saying, Bart. I'm used to seeing you in a suit and a booty, but damn it, I'm at home, so I'm going to be comfortable. But one thing I am comfortable with is that Mekhi Becton was and is the most dominant rookie so far in this early NFL season. When you have that type of size, you don't have to be in a hurry, because at the end of the day, they eventually have to come to you. And they're hoping that it's not a run, because if you're on the train tracks and this big fella's coming through, then you're in a world of trouble. You know, my guy Mekhi Becton is making beautiful music.
Calling an audible.
Hey, did you guys see Ezekiel Elliott's stomach tattoo last week? It says "Feed Me" on it. Now, Ralph, I'm assuming you don't have any tattoos, but if you were to get one, maybe like a Wreck-It Ralph, where on your body would you get it?
Actually, I have a better question for Ezekiel Elliott. How ridiculous is that thing going to look in 30 years when he's, a little more pudgy than he is right now?
His mom actually was not a big fan of it. A fan tweeted and said, "How do you feel about it?" to his mom, Dawn. And she tweeted a thumbs down emoji, which, by the way, is so savage. She keeps it so real with her own son. I thought that was hilarious.
He should listen to mom, because it really looked ridiculous.
Let's head back to the friend zone. What was the feeling like when you first laid someone out, and when was it?
The first time? It probably goes back to high school. There are a couple of players who came up to me after I had made it to BC and then into the league and told me, you were the reason why I quit playing football or this and that. And so I enjoyed hitting. I always said, like, I had one tool in my toolbox and it was a hammer, and if I had an opportunity, I was going to take the hit, and I enjoyed it.
You obviously laid out a few quarterbacks in your time. Do you have a favorite quarterback that you've sacked, one who was the most satisfying to knock down to the ground?
My favorite sack probably has to be Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. I'm an Indiana boy, and being able to get back home and get a sack, against Peyton in Indianapolis in front of my aunt, who came and used my tickets to sit in the stands wearing a Peyton Manning jersey, it was pretty special. So that's one of the most memorable ones. I wish everybody could get that moment, that enjoyment of putting all your effort into something and having that immediate gratification after it. So as soon as you know that the quarterback is there, you get around that tackle and it's just air between you and the quarterback, and you're thinking to yourself, if he pats that ball one more time, he's going down.
Guys, you have several Instagram posts about the television show The Office. What is your favorite episode, and who's your favorite character from the show?
No!
That's funny. Season 2, episode 2, with Michael's retirement from comedy. Anybody who knows me knows I know those seasons forward and backward. Jim's sitting there at the desk and he's throwing off all of his quotes that would get him to say "that's what she said." I retired that also, but growing up, that was one of my best phrases, or one of my favorite phrases. So that's definitely my favorite episode.
Well, if you don't watch The Office, a very wise man named Michael Scott once said, "It takes an advanced sense of humor, and I don't expect everybody to understand." Thank you so much for your time, Mathias. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I'm in the pocket. I'm in the pocket.
Let's head in the pocket and put some money in your pocket and rake it in. Ralph, you went 2-0 last week, so maybe you do know what you're talking about.
No, that's a total fluke.
The Giants are 3.5-point underdogs against the 49ers at home, but the Niners got pretty banged up last week at the Meadowlands. So do you think that the Giants have a better chance than the Jets did last week?
If they had Saquon Barkley, I would say yes. But sticking with the Bears as long as they did and sticking with the 49ers, it's just another class of opponent. The 49ers are good even without all those guys that they lost, and the Giants are reeling right now. I think they'll show some fight, but I don't think they'll cover that spread. I think the 49ers will pull away in the end.
Well, the Jets are heading to Indianapolis, and they are 10-point underdogs. Is there any chance that this one's close?
I can't imagine there's a spread right now that I would think the Jets would cover. They're just an awful team. And if you're going to have a bad defense on top of all their offensive problems, and now Brashad Perriman is out, the Jets are a mess right now. I would probably pick the Colts and think the Jets are going to lose in a third straight blowout.
All right, well, I guess we will see. But that'll do it for this week of The Tailgate. I'm Michelle Margaux. That is Ralph Vacchiano. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.